Let's go close up on the WTAX Morning News Watch with U.S. Congressman John Shimkus. Congressman, good morning and welcome.
It's great to be here. It's a beautiful sunny day and a lot of snow.
And he is live here in the studio, and I thought he would call because he lives in Collinsville. And how much snow did you have?
We had a foot of snow.
And you flew in last night from Washington, D.C.
My boys did their duty, and the driveway was clean, and all is well. All is well.
Give him credit. You have a couple of sons that do that?
Well, not willingly, but I have an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old, well, almost 16, and an 11-year-old, and I think they did a tag team match.
That's
One of my friends, my son's friends came over. I said no sledding until the driveway was clear, so that put a little pressure on them, and I think they got a little help too.
So the driving wasn't bad at all coming up from Collinsville early this morning?
Not that I noticed. I mean, I have Deb helps get me up here, but we didn't swerve around at all, so no, it's fine.
What brings you to the capital city today?
Well, it's part of my district, so I've got a few meetings in my office, and the way we try to do when you have a big district is regionally schedule. So I've got a couple meetings that I have to attend to, and so then we call you all, and we try to make a day of it. I'll be up here most of the day, and then have an event back in Maryville by that ends like at 5:30. So it's a full day for me.
Do you fly back then to Washington, D.C. like at the end of the weekend?
I'll go back Monday.
Monday,
yeah.
Let's talk about the health care repeal.
Right.
In Congress, of course, specifically in the U.S. House, and the Republicans introduced it, a day or so ago?
Actually, we passed it.
Oh, you passed it?
Yeah, 2 days ago. I want to put it in perspective. In the history of this country, on a major legislative initiative, I don't think you've had as significant a turnaround on a major policy issue than we have on this healthcare law. Look, in less than 10 months, you had more votes in the House of Representatives for repeal than you had to pass the bill. Now, remember, the House of Representatives is designed to be the representative body closest to the people, and we had an election, and that election, for the most part, was based upon this healthcare law. And we responded by moving repeal. Again, more votes for repeal in less than 10 months than we had to vote for the passage of the bill. It's historically, it's a amazing phenomenon.
Is this legislation, though, just going to sit there, or is it going to go to the Senate? They going to talk about it, and could it get through the Senate?
Well, the minority leader has said he's going to do all he can to try to get a vote on the floor of the Senate, but this is a response. This is, again, in our system of government, it's up to the public now to raise this issue to the Senate and put the political pressure on them to at least have a vote. I mean, why would a vote? I mean, they've already voted on it anyway to pass it. Most of them. There's a few more senators there, so why not? Have a vote to say whether they like the bill or not.
Are there any contingency plans in the House to come up with legislation, and how do you continue to push that legislation as opposed to, you passed, of course, the repeal, but do you have something to replace it?
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's kind of, if people go to my my Facebook site and look at all this new media stuff, like you all do too, my little 1-minute speech on the floor of the House, really, I had one volume of a 4-volume set. I had 600 pages. The healthcare law that was passed was 2,990 pages. And what the Democrats did to really defend the bill was legislative language really that consisted of 10 pages. So I said, you're defending the bill on this 10 pages. I'm talking about the other 2,980 pages that we have problems with, like the $500 billion in cuts for Medicare, the $500 billion in tax increases, the 150 new federal agencies, on and on and on and on and on. So this does answer your question. So then we did legislation and start the process to do on the what provisions are there that we should replace it with, or what are the good provisions. We all know they are, addressing the capitation of insurance policies, keeping young adults on their parents' policies, the 26, the pre-existing conditions. Those things we can do, but those are law of the land right now. Really, I think what you're going to see us do is you're going to see us use the appropriation process, and you're going to look at and just using oversight to look at the bill and identifying provisions that we can get through the Senate. There's one that's going to happen, and the president's going to sign the law. That's the 1099 repeal. It's egregious. It's burdensome. It creates 10,000 new IRS agents to get involved in small businesses. It's where you have to, every business, small, whatever size, as they accumulate up to $600 of cost over time, not one-time cost, over time, they have to file with that person, that good or services, as 1099 form. Multiplies the bureaucracy. I predict it'll get a vote in the Senate, and I predict it'll get to the president's desk, and I think that will be a provision that will be stripped from this health care law.
We're talking with Congressman John Shimkus here on the Morning News Watch. Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords constantly in the news, making terrific, miraculous recovery from her wounds. Just now, 2 weeks ago, it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. How well do you know her?
Not closely. She, Gabby, most of us kind of know her by. She was a conservative Democrat, so this is how I know her. I usually sit near the center aisle. Just, you can find a place, the chamber is like church or synagogue. You kind of sit in the same areas. Gabby, as a conservative Democrat, a Blue Dogs, and they kind of congregate on the center aisle also. So that's where we've had our discussions, and I don't serve with her on a committee. And so that's most of the time where you make your best friendships is the working on the committees. So it's just when we're voting and she reaches over to cast her vote in front of the voting booth that I'm sitting in front of, or discussions and stuff. Know her well enough that I know her, she knows me, but not close enough to say, we haven't broken bread together, and that type of relationship. How
did the whole incident, Congressman, affect you?
I think it reminded me of two things. First of all, this is a chosen profession that I love. I appreciate the voters giving me this opportunity. Like many professions, there are risks, and you just realize there's a risk. It also highlighted to me the importance of continuing to get out in the public. Just the opposite, I think, what people would think. I think it's more important now to be out instead of being cloistered away. I did a couple events that really wasn't on my schedule. I went to a K-Hawk basketball game when Collinsville K-Hawks, where they recognized the 1961 state championship team. I was just in the stands, when I go, I like to go to a game every now and then, and I'm sitting up in the balcony, and I think people like to see us as regular folks. I'm not down in any official ceremonies. They didn't announce me from the issue, but I am just there. Likewise, Martin Luther King church service that I attended, didn't let them know I was coming, didn't ask for it, just was in the audience. I think those type of events are even more important now, where people just see you out and about.
I have to ask you this question because I've never seen security with you. Have you considered hiring some security if you don't already have it?
No.
Okay.
I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking about that today. I guess we could, as part of an office expense, you'd have to work out with the law enforcement, get a retired law enforcement guy. They do have the right to carry in some areas, and maybe they could be in essence your driver or your staff assistant and stuff. But as far as the national government's not going to give us more money to hire, that would have to be done out of current office. Now, some of the senior folks, you hate to be really blunt about this. There's 435 members of the House. There's a whole bunch of us. We're important. We do a lot of important work. But when one of us is not available, that's not going to affect the operation of the Republic. That's why the senior folks have security. Because if they are threatened or at risk, the president, the vice president, the speaker, some of the minority leaders, they will cause. There will be an affecting short-term affecting of the way the government works, but not long-term. There's just too many of us, especially in the House.
One more topic. State of the Union is this Tuesday evening, and the two U.S. senators from Illinois, Dick Durbin and Mark Kirk, say that they're going to sit together. Are you going to make any changes where you sit? And have you heard of anyone else making a move to show a spirit of bipartisanship?
Yeah, this is a great question because it's I even chuckle that we got to ask this, and that this is such a big deal. We're like kids, in the playground. Now play nice, Susie, and make sure you share your toys. I really do chuckle at this and how it's become a big deal. But it's very symbolic. You talk to independent voters. We do act very childishly in the State of the Union when it's almost like a sports. Now, remember, the State of the Union was never really originally thought of that there'd be speeches. A lot of times they were, historically, they would be written, and then the clerk would read it, and then you wouldn't have all this. That was the day before cameras and stuff. To answer your question, yes. Tim Bishop, who was a Democrat from Long Island, a very good friend of mine, I approached him on the floor, and this was a good story. I approached him on the floor and said, "Hey, Tim, will you want to be my Ranger buddy?" And he goes, "Ranger buddy, what's that?" And, in Ranger school, you always had a Ranger buddy to help keep you awake, help keep you warm, and would have your back. And Ranger school is an interesting 52-day experience in my life. And so I said, "You be my Ranger buddy." And so I had to explain that, and then he goes, "I was going to find you."
Oh,
so
he was
that's
thinking
how
the same thing.
We are close friends. He's from a liberal district. I'm from a very conservative district, but we are very dear friends. One of the print media asked me, "Well, how do you know him?" And I said, "We play baseball together." So.
And you are a premier baseball player for the Congress.
And he's one of theirs, so he's a great
You're
guy.
the Republican pitcher, and he's a main part of the
third
Democratic
baseman
team.
for the Democrat team. So.
And I know what you mean about it's become a sporting event, the State of the Union, because the network commentators will always say, now the president, there was 22 times that they applauded, and 16 times it was a standing ovation.
And maybe this will cut that down. Maybe it'll be shorter because maybe we'll just be there to listen instead of the showmanship aspects.
Congressman, always great to have you. Thank you so very much. Be careful going back, of course, to all that snow in Collinsville. Have a good stay here in the capital city. We'll talk with you soon.
Great, Bob. Thank you.